I want you to get the most controversial bat season 15.
Started right when I was 5.
Yeah, we on this side, nigga.
Yo,
What's up?
Pull up.
You think you can make a hook? I'm like, hell yeah.
Yo, we're back here at Ham Radio.
Oh my God.
I was beating you to it because usually you're more enthusiastic. You're like, hey, back at Ham Radio.
You literally scared me.
Oh, sorry. You want to hear what happened to me the other day?
What?
Tell me what you would do. If what? In this situation. Okay, go. So I'm in Los Feliz. Yeah, my hometown. No big deal. Well, I was more like by Griffith Park. I was like on Hillhurst. A little nicer than your street. So I'm in Los Feliz, and I'm at like a cool coffee shop, and I go use the bathroom. And then
Was it during your Sunday health day?
Sunday self-care, self-love Sunday day? Yes, it definitely was. I just taken a hike. I was having a nice smoothie. I go to the bathroom.
A hike or like a brisk walk?
A brisk walk. Took a nice brisk walk. By the way, last weekend, I walked 8.5 miles.
Like straight? Or like throughout your day?
I stopped like on the beach. I like walked along the beach.
I guess that's fair.
It was very nice. And you know, I can honestly say now, I like long walks on the beach.
I feel like okay, keep going.
Okay, so on the bathroom, what do you feel like, by the way? What are you gonna say?
What?
You say,
I feel like you do things just so you can say that you did that.
Just say, hey guys, I took an 8.5. No, I really enjoyed it. It was great.
I mean the long walk on the beach stuff.
Oh.
I don't think you purposely walked.
I'm gonna walk on the beach so that I can later on say, you know what I like? Long walks on the beach. And you're right.
Okay, finish your story, please. So we can go on with the episode.
I go to the bathroom, sitting on the counter. Is like
sitting on the counter?
Yeah, okay.
So you're taking a shit on the counter? Are you sitting on the counter?
Yeah. So sitting on the counter was, I wasn't sitting on the counter, I'm telling you what was sitting on the counter.
You said you were sitting on the counter.
No, I said sitting on the counter.
Did you say sitting on the counter? Everyone's saying yes.
Okay, well, I was not sitting on the counter, but what was sitting on the counter was a clip, and in that clip was a bunch of money.
Like a gun clip?
No, just like it wasn't a money clip. It was like, what are like, you know, like the black clips and just like they're bigger though?
Was it magnet? Like a magnet one?
It wasn't a magnet one. It was like a little clip.
Okay.
And he had money in there, and so I looked at it, and it was like $110, which I could use. And then also there was his ID and credit cards. So one of them was a platinum card, so he's probably rich. And I was like, okay, there's a few things I can do here.
Okay.
I could turn it all into the cafe and be like, hey, I found this, I don't know what to do. I could take everything with me and then just mail it all to the dude because it has that ID. Or I could take the money and mail everything else to the dude.
You take the money, you mail everything else anonymous.
That's not what I did though. I found the guy on Facebook and I gave him back.
You take the money, $110?
I didn't take the money. Because you know what? No! I'm gonna get deep. I'm gonna get deep for a minute. Sometimes when God, see, because I was like, oh, this could be.
Okay, we're gonna just go to the episode now.
Listen. So I could be like, I think this money could be a gift from God, or is it a test from God?
That doesn't exist. Okay, so we're gonna.
God doesn't exist. He's not a real thing. God doesn't have to be like a person in the sky. It could be the universe. I use God as a placeholder.
So why don't you just say
it could be the universe? Higher entity, higher power, the universe.
Aliens, like a reptilian or a
So the reptilian aliens.
Perfect.
They could be giving you a gift.
They could have been giving you a gift.
Or was it a test?
No, it was a gift. You always look like you're getting.
But I gave it back to the guy today. He came to my house and met me, and he bought me coffee and invited me to dinner on Wednesday. So
you know what would have been nicer than that?
But he gave me $100.
Something that costs $100. That fucking stupid coffee that you drink every day.
Well, here's what I thought would have been nice if he would have been like, mate, thank you so much. Here's
honestly,
$100.
if I returned it, I would assume if they were rich, I'd be like, oh, he's gonna give me at least half back.
And by the way, he's building a house in Los Feliz. He lives in fucking Beverly Hills. He's in a building
old white
guy. Older than me, Israeli guy.
All right, cool. We're gonna go to DJ Stereotype and then.
Hey, guy, you should have given me $115.
What's his name? Shout him out and his address.
Guy Ross?
Don't say his name, Guy Ross. all right, guys. Ham Radio. We're gonna go to DJ Stereotype and then when you come back, we'll be with Slug Christ.
Ham Radio, we're back.
You have hair in your. You have hair.
What was that? Wait, what was that?
So you have hair?
Back. No, what was that?
Guys, we're here with Slug Christ.
No, wait, what about my hair? I'm sorry, but what about my hair?
No, I don't want to talk about you. I want to talk about Slug Christ. He's our guest here.
I don't want to talk about you either.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I agree.
Wait, can we talk about
he
how
always
sexy
tries to
this
start
is?
everything about himself. I don't want to talk about you.
No, this one little line looks very Superman.
Like Johnny Depp.
But it looks forced. It looks forced. Like you made it. It's not natural.
No, it's definitely natural. It's definitely natural.
That is forced.
He styled this one
That's
little
what I'm saying.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. Are you crazy?
Yeah. See how defensive you're getting right now?
How much time? Now,
I'm gonna be honest with you.
How much time in the morning do you spend playing with your hair?
All I do is blow dry and go like this.
How long does that process take?
20 minutes, if that.
Lie.
That's a lot. That's a.
But you want to know why my hair does this? Because I manifested it because when I was a kid, I'd see Johnny Depp and I'd see all the other, sexy actors. I was like, this is sexy. And now I manifested it and it's just my hair. I have
Cool.
sexy
All
hair.
right, let's move on, guys.
Slug, you have sexy hair.
He does have nice hair, and you know what? I bet you he didn't style. It's natural.
I cut it myself as well.
You cut your hair?
I've not gotten a cut.
That's very hip.
In like 5 years.
I spend $70 on my haircuts.
Jesus.
Every 4 weeks.
Yo,
very cool.
You should.
Oh shit! Thank you.
Guess how much I spent on my haircut? Nothing, bitch.
You should get a haircut from Slug, and then you.
Slug, will you cut my hair?
I've never cut anyone else's hair. I'm kind of scared of doing
It'd probably be easier, right? Because it's hard as fuck to cut your own hair.
That's slick how the foxtail started was I couldn't see the back of my head when I was cutting my hair, so it just.
And you just didn't realize you didn't cut anything. You're like,
I
is happening now.
I realized it was happening, but I didn't want to just guesstimate back
Yeah.
there. So-
No, why do we call it a foxtail and not a rat tail?
Because a rat tail
It's skinnier.
is skinny.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
this
it's
is
a fo-
very bushy.
Look, it has volume to it.
right. It's a foxtail.
A rat tail's like
I dig
it's
it.
like
A rat, yeah.
It's like
It's skinnier.
Yeah, it's like skin.
Do you ever braid? Do you ever have your girlfriend braid your rat tail?
Of course.
Oh, your foxtail? Pardon me.
Yeah, get the semantics. Right.
Get the semantics right.
Kai used to have a little ducktail with a braid on it.
A
He
ducktail.
used
That's very
he used
cool.
to shave his head and then have one little braid with a bead on the end.
Before I had this one, I had like a Padawan one
Ooh.
that went behind my ear, but I accidentally cut it off.
Growing up in the 90s in Phoenix, you know what cholos used to do? They would have the shaved head, and they would also have just the one square rat tail.
You know what the
Were
real-
you a cholo? Is that what you did?
No, you know what the real cholos would do? They would shave their head and have the rat tail on the front, and you would slick it back.
Oh, I used to do that, and that was just like some raver shit where I'd shave my head, and I just had the bangs, and I bleached the bangs blonde. I would just push it back.
Not bangs. It was literally a rat tail. So it was like
Oh.
6-7 strands of hair on the front, and you just slick
That's
it back.
ugly. I don't like it.
Tell them one of that. Fuck
Well, I
it.
say, hey, fucking essay. No?
All right, chill out.
So what happened to you? Okay, so you're probably going to see this like in 3 weeks, but something happened to Slug Christ last night, and we're going to hear about it. Tell us the story.
Yeah, man. I went to Left Brain Studio, and
Where's Left Brain Studio at? What's the
West
address?
Hollywood.
Okay, what's the address? I'm joking. We're all going
Anyway,
there.
yeah. So I went. We were running out of weed, so I went and got some. And when I got back, the Uber dropped me off, and I was slick gone off the Xan, and I didn't know where the fuck I was. Like, looking at the studio, I did not recognize where. I get just like, none of these places look like a studio. I don't know where the fuck I am. So I was like, maybe the Uber dropped me off like around the corner or something. So I ended up like walking around for like the whole night. Like, I didn't get back to the studio until the next morning, and there's a lot of like vagueness going on within that time frame because I wasn't off the Xan when I had left. While I was gone, it had kicked in. You feel me?
How many did you take?
Just one of them green Hulks. I used to be off the Xan
Like really off of it. Yeah.
like 5 bars a day.
I remember.
But I slowed down on that shit, yeah, because that shit is really, like, Xanax addiction compared to any other type of drug is probably the worst. And you can take, like, my word for it because I've been around the block a few times, you know. But anyway, so basically this woman who talked like this.
So what kind of woman? Like, what would you call that kind of woman?
I'm not even going to go there because I got in trouble for it on Twitter because of my ignorance. You know, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, where we are very ignorant, you know? Like, that's like a part of our culture is ignorance. You hear it in the music, you hear it in the way we talk, like, whatever. I don't know. She was mad at me that I don't know, I wouldn't talk to her or something, and she hit me on the head. Right? Can I go up to one of these cameras? Right there. That is a mark from a stiletto.
Oh, you got hit with the stiletto in the head?
Yeah.
Wait, that's like very precise.
Yeah, she
So
was
it's like-
very mad at me.
Wait, so you don't know why she was mad at you?
No, she was trying to talk to you, and then what happened? How did it escalate?
Wasn't. I mean, dude, the whole thing is very foggy.
Because
and,
you were off the Xan.
Yeah, and I know, just knowing me, I wouldn't have said anything. It was probably just like, I don't want to talk to you. I'm not gonna. I don't know. She wanted to, I don't know, have a buddy or some shit.
This is late at night.
Wait,
Yeah, very late at
In
night.
West
It was
Hollywood.
Probably like 4. Yeah.
Were you on Santa Monica Boulevard?
I don't know. It was somewhere in West Hollywood.
Was it
though.
like a prostitute?
It was something.
Very well. could
so
be.
what?
2 in the morning.
I want to
in a
know
stiletto.
what
Guessing.
happens when you get hit in the head with a stiletto. Like, is it just like a kind of like a,
It's bruised as a.
or is it? Or do you go what the fuck? Like, what's the process?
Well,
From what you recall.
yeah, man. I was just, you know what? While she was like going, like swinging at me.
Oh, it was
with her
multiple
stiletto-
times.
Well, I only got hit once, but
Yeah.
she was kind of like, you know, and I was just like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't know what I did wrong, so I
Were
was
you-
just trying to say like, it's a misunderstanding, whatever the fuck it is.
So was there blood?
No, I was just like this little bump bruise thing.
That's
And so what happened when you finally made it back to the?
I just ran the fuck out of there. Well, I didn't get back to I didn't realize where the studio was until like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Were you on the street
I
that
was
whole
on
time?
the street that whole time, and a lot of like. So,
What were you doing?
I don't know, man. I was gone.
You gotta
off the
carry one of
Xan.
those body cams that the cops do, so you just know
I
what
need
you're
a
doing.
babysitter is what I need. My manager, Dami, is my babysitter sometimes.
But he kind of does Xans too, doesn't
No,
he?
he does. No, he does. And he's the worst babysitter.
Yeah, not a great babysitter. That's like having another babysit a baby.
No, yeah, you're right. Like, my girlfriend will tell you that she's babysitting the babysitter.
She seems like she would be a good babysitter.
Yeah.
No, she is a great babysitter. And she's, like, gotten me to calm down a lot, you know, probably since the last time I talked to y'all. And by the way, I like your new studio, man.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I kind of like the old one better. It felt more punk rock, and we could do whatever.
Could
the
I
fuck
say I
we
liked
want.
it? I liked it better also.
Which one?
Dash radios.
This
fool.
one is very bougie. Like, I
Right.
feel like.
But you could do whatever you want. You can smoke weed here.
You
if
smoke
want it.
weed. You could fucking
Well, I
do.
can smoke weed in here.
Oh, sorry. You can't say weed. We have to use marijuana based off the
Right.
regulations from.
And
I
if you're
can't
gonna
just
say that,
rack up like a bunch of lines. Or
You
I mean,
can
you
if you want
can.
to.
It's,
We
you
won't.
are you still doing lines?
Are you still doing lines?
I mean,
fucking
cocaine has
narc.
never
What is
been like one of my favorite drugs, but like
You're more into downers.
I do, yeah, I do it.
You like
I do it
opiates.
here and there.
From doing Xanax, does it not? Because I feel like what happens to a lot of people is when they start doing Xanax and they don't have they like lose access to it, or if it starts getting too expensive, I think like people end up getting into H. And I
Well,
sound like a
yeah.
narc calling it H.
Yeah, can you tell
No,
people who
no.
don't know what H is what H
It's
is?
heroin.
Well, I mean,
Dope.
Dope is a whole nother thing, and I mean, they're all their own different things. But just for me personally, and I think, I mean, heroin addiction is not a big deal compared to Xanax addiction. Like, Xanax addiction is fucking horrible. Like, and now I haven't done Xanax like that in years now. You know, I did it last night, and like, just one bar will get me like how 6 used to get me back
Right.
in the day, you know. And now I'm epileptic from it. I'm on my like Lil Wayne shit. Like, even if I don't take a bunch of Xanax, if I'm straight off, if I don't do Xanax for months, I still might have a seizure here and there.
Wow, really?
And that's just part of like, just a part of the demon that is Alprazolam.
Have you? When was the last time you had a seizure? What's that like? That sounds
When
scary
was the
as
last
fuck.
time I had a seizure? 8 months ago. Yeah, it's getting slower and slower as time goes on, you know?
How do you deal with the seizure?
Well, I mean, usually it's just like I'm just sitting there and I'll feel very anxious. And now I can tell like when I'm about to have a seizure, but like before I'd just be there being like, and I'd usually be withdrawing off Xanax like a few years ago or whatever, and I'd just be kind of, you know, getting anxious, and then all of a sudden I'd wake up and there'd be a group of people huddled around me.
Wow.
And
Damn, that's scary.
I read a book by a girl named Amy Dressner who is called My Fair Junkie, and she started going to seizures from doing she's like slamming dope heroin. So you know she started wearing a helmet when she would shoot dope,
wow.
just in case.
That's very extreme.
Yeah,
I feel like if you're at the point where you need to wear a helmet, you should probably.
I mean, addiction is yeah.
You should slow down no matter what it is,
right,
man.
but
Like,
addiction definitely isn't something where you're like, oh, I should probably slow down. This is nah.
speaking of, dude, I just now saw your tattoo with the bottle in
Yeah,
the
I've been
coffin.
sober since 2009.
That is fucking tight, man.
Yeah, and I was sober February 5th, so it's been 9 years
God
last
fucking
month.
damn.
But before
That's
booze,
like honestly inspirational as fuck. Cause like right now, man, don't even want to fucking think about.
yeah, I mean, I didn't get sober till I was 27. You're getting close to there.
I'm getting close to there, yeah.
But I never liked opiates. I was like really into meth. And then when I would go to rehab, I would see all like the heroin kids, and they were so much like artsier. And I was like,
No,
I
yeah.
fucking wish I was on heroin. But I love fucking uppers, man.
That's how art school is. I mean, I was a painting major in art school. So it's like there's two types of people in art school. There's like the kids who are just anime nerds and don't do shit except their homework and read manga. Or there's like, I'm taking 3 tabs of acid and shooting up heroin before class today type kids. Wow. And
Yeah.
then that's how I got into, you know, that other
Yeah, see
section.
those when I'd see those kind of kids in the rehab, and I would just be like, man, they're artsy, they like cool music, they're like poetry, and I like those things too. I'm a fucking tweaker, you know. And that's like, there's nothing like I think there's heroin and being like a junkie sounds like romantic. Nothing romantic about being a fucking tweaker. It's gross.
Oh no, yeah, and
What a piece of shit I am.
people, like, I feel you, dude. I was just telling my girlfriend about this before we get here. I'm such a piece of shit.
Do you get itchy off heroin, or is it just
if you get high enough? Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely.
I was gonna say, because I feel like I feel like heroin is.
If you're gone off the meth, you're talking about when meth people scratch.
Yeah,
that's like
I would never do that.
Right? Yeah, not everyone do. Like, you don't even look like a meth addict. Like, some people, you can like look at them and be like, that dude used to do a lot of meth or still does a lot.
Right.
But then there's some people who, you know, don't look like nothing.
Well, that's kind of what I used to rationalize my using dope is your meth shit, we'd call it back then, is that I didn't scratch myself. I still ate. I forced myself to sleep. So I had all these things were like, I'm not that bad because I'm like forcing myself into doing habits that I think maybe
you will come up with every excuse
anything to keep
legitimize
using.
it, you know. And I do that to this day, man. Like, I don't want to get too personal or too into it and everything, but like, I'll definitely use whatever excuse there is just so I can go and do a line of dope like one more time, you know. And it'll always be one more time.
Yeah.
And for either the night or that hour or for one more time for this month or whatever, and it's never one more time.
Have you ever tried to get full sobriety?
Yeah, well, no. Well, I went to rehab when I was about 19, and I was sober for about 7 months there, and honestly, man, I don't know what it was, but that was one of the most depressing times I've ever been alive. Like, and it was probably from using a lot, and you don't get that saying. You lose the ability to create serotonin and dopamine. So I'm sure that was a big part of it. But I was clean for 7 months and just feeling like I was prescribed like antipsychotics and sleeping pills, and it would be 6 o'clock at night, and I'd be like, I don't want to be here anymore, and I'd pop a few of those sleeping pills just so I could go to sleep. And it was, you know, I'm a horrible escapist, and I like our modern generation and the modern zeitgeist is just escape it, you know, just because there's so much bullshit going on all the fucking time, and you know, that's just a normal fucking, not even human reaction, a normal biological reaction to want to escape. Like, jaguars go and chew on the roots of ayahuasca to trip out on DMT, and they'll be like rolling around tripping the fuck out. Pigs go and hunt for truffles that are buried under the ground, which contain cannabinoids, and they'll go out and seek that shit. Gorillas, monkeys, elephants, they all eat fermented fruit because it gives them alcohol buzz. That's a normal biological instinct, is to, you always, so survival. It's always survival. It's always working. And anything that can think, anything that has the smallest semblance of a consciousness needs to escape in some way. And that, for a lot of the population, that's just watching TV, playing video games, you know. You can't even separate that shit from a drug addiction, because it's the exact same thing. And when you think about it, addiction is almost hard-lined into our psyches because of the way we crave food, the way we're built to crave sugar. It's just, addiction is a normal part of living, and that's why we as humans, we as fucking organisms, crave to escape like that. Like, we just crave. Because craving is fundamental to living.
Well, I'll tell you, I agree with you 100%. And like, for the being sober for 7 months and like feeling the worst you felt. So I think, especially as people who are, you know, predestined as addicts, it's like, you know, for me, the drugs and drinking, that wasn't my problem. It was the solution to the problem. So once I take away my solution, I'm left with the problem, which is me. And so for me, like, if I don't participate in the 12-step program that I'm a part of, and then I'll be depressed, fucking probably want to kill myself. And so, because I feel like as addicts, we have like a spiritual malady. It's like a hole in our soul.
It's very ritualistic, whatever the process is to get high. It's so, and I don't mean that symbolically at all. It is a ritual, you know, and they teach you that. And, you know, we both have been through rehab and shit. You know, you stuck with it, which is good. But like, and also when you go to rehab, you see that those people are all replacing their addiction.
Right.
They all live off cigarettes and coffee.
Right.
And if there's decaf there, that shit will not
Right.
be touched.
Don't people
But
become sex addicts also? Like you just
Well, yeah.
pass
I
it
mean,
off?
my story.
Same side of the
that's the
coin,
thing is that I feel like addicts have a hole in your soul, so you take away the drugs. So, like, first of all, we'll do anything to fill the hole. That's going to be quick. Drugs, pills, sex,
Right.
food.
Pizza, burritos.
Honestly, food, shopping.
Exactly.
Quesadillas.
Anything.
Shopping, or even I was reading a study about like looking at Instagram and how when you look at like Instagram and you see that you get a like, there's the tiniest little surge of dopamine, and it's like full, like legitimately addictive.
drug, yeah.
Right?
Well, it's getting high off of validation,
Yeah.
and that's like that right now. That's like my drug of choice.
What's so interesting behind it is that it's an actual chemical reaction. But what were you were saying earlier is like,
The only way to fill that hole is honestly with spirit, and the only way I get that is from the 12-step program that I
right,
work.
man. And even if
if
you don't believe that God is a separate thing, you can just think about the fucking fact that
The universe, anything.
right. And
God.
I'm a current addict, and I have been for years and years and years. But like, I've never not been in spirit. Well, actually, I went through a phase when I was like 17, 18, when I started getting into hard drugs, where I was just like, atheism, bitch.
Same, yeah.
And it wasn't rehab that taught me that shit. It was mushrooms that taught me that shit, like being spiritual. And like, I don't know, there's a bunch of holes within every
Right.
person, and becoming spiritual is not gonna fix your addiction, you know?
Right.
Like, which is where I'm at, and
Right.
I'm not saying I'll never fix it, but
Hey, what's funny I noticed too is like me growing up, because I started doing drugs probably 12, 13. I'm sure you similar. I remember there's times, and I'd been in jail a lot of times for my drug use, and I'd be like, I'm Jewish, but I'd be like, oh, I'm reading the Bible and I want to be Christian now, or I want to be Buddhist now. I just want to be saved.
right.
Like,
that's
like-
how they sell it
yeah.
to you. Like, hey, you want to be saved?
It's like Bright Eyes. Conor Oberst has a lyric. He says the drunk kids, the Catholics, they're all about the same. They're waiting for somehow to get saved. I don't know the lyric. It's similar to that.
That sounds like some Conor Oberst
He's
shit.
the best.
He's cool though. I like that.
Speaking of Conor Oberst, this is my bad transition. But before rapping, you're in a band.
Yeah,
we call it mathcore. Can we call it mathcore band?
Yeah. Well, I was in a bunch of bands. So I don't know. I've been doing music since I was 14. I just turned 26. So
Were you always a vocalist, or did you play instruments?
I was always a vocalist at first, which I think kind of being the vocalist in like I would call it math grind, whereas mathcore is like like a tiny bit different
Right.
or whatever. But I was always a vocalist in these crazy, and just so everyone knows what math grind is, it's something like
Very art school.
exactly, very art school. You're goddamn right. And yeah, so but before that I was in like shitty bands, in high school and even middle school. When I was 12, I would blackmail my friends because none of them took me seriously, so I'd have to blackmail them all to like be in the same spot with their instruments, and I'd be like, we're here to have band practice. I would do something, to get them all together. And then I went to high school, met some kids who were actually into music. Like I got my first guitar when I was 12, so I was very I knew what I wanted to do from a very early age, and I'm lucky for that. But like then I got into high school where it got more serious, and then
What bands were you listening to when you started playing in the math grind band? Like, what were you into?
well, early high. Well, yeah, I'll just shoot some off. Like my favorite band of all time is this band called Terra Melos, which is a math rock band.
Those are my homies. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know Nick and them.
Dude, Nick Reinhardt is when I was 17, I embarrassed myself in front of him so bad because he was like God to me back then, And it's funny because I look at kids the way they like talk to me now, and I'm like, I used to be that kid right there. So I don't like think anything about it. But like, I remember just talking him like I don't
Just
know,
punishing
just
him?
like making him probably feel so weird, you know. And I would like to like talk to him again, like because I still
Shit,
love
maybe I'll link you guys
Terry
up. I literally just saw him like a month ago, and I don't.
He is one of my heroes.
I don't like
for
math
sure.
rock, but Terramellos is one of my favorite bands as well. Like they just do it. Like everybody in that band is just amazing.
Well,
and
there's something
like,
very distinct about them that
Yeah.
separates them from other math rock bands.
Well, do you know what it is, or you're just saying they're just something?
Do you know what it is?
No, I was gonna say the reason. One day I was listening to her album
the
and
Weezer influence.
kind of, but they sound. I forgot what album it was specifically that I was listening to a lot, where it sounds like a '90s kids TV show.
Probably
songs.
Patagonian Rats.
Yeah, where it all sounds like Salute Your Camp.
Have you heard his
would,
solo
like-
music?
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes a lot of like just like bullshit
Yeah.
songs, and like he knows what they are. And
Yeah.
shit. But like I used to jam out to that shit too.
Oh, really?
Like yeah, and but like back in the day, while I was in these bands, I was also making like 8-bit chiptune. I would call it math 8-bit. It sounded like Terramellos, but with like 8-bit.
Oh, wow.
synths
What
and shit.
I would
influenced you
love
to
to hear
add
that.
that?
I just grew up on Pokemon, dude, and
That's
and
awesome.
I've always loved 8-bit shit like Saber Pulse. I don't know if y'all know that.
know the
dude.
Saber Pulse.
I don't know, but I always liked video game music in general, especially like older like shit that's on the Game Boy, because it was just composed always so beautifully, you know, and like. Now that I'm living out here, I want to run into someone and be like, "Let me
Dude,
score your soundtrack."
What's Gus's homie? He was big in the 8-bit.
Oh,
like,
well, Gus went by women.
WMX. It was WMX,
Oh.
but it was his homie who he has long hair. Huh? Basic. Do you know who
he
Basic
lives,
is?
he lives downtown.
Yeah, dude. His like I don't know if he still makes it, but
He does all modular stuff now.
yeah, like when I first met him, he was doing all 8-bit thrash kind of shit. It was him,
Word.
and there was like a crew. It was at WMX, him, and then I think there's this chick.
Oh,
but
really cool
Yeah,
dudes.
they were super nice, and they would all do this like punk style 8-bit kind of
But you know
shit,
who else
and, like,
would do that? Did you ever? They're not like an old band, oldish now. Have you heard of Crime Kills? It's this
Kills
guy
go.
Nate No Face, who's like a really dope punk vocalist, and then Scumbag Tony would like make Game Boy beats.
That was just straight.
Cool.
And it was like Game Boy
straight
punk.
8-bit punk. Like
Well,
Word.
have you heard the band Kate Moss?
That's
They're around right now.
familiar.
Kate MO $. Well, that kid Gnarly, he's kind of came up under Nate No Face, and he like covers a Crime Kill song every set.
Cool.
Have you heard of speaking of math rock, of a genre right now that people are calling like Twinkle Daddy?
Twinkle Daddy.
I don't keep up.
Okay,
with
I've
any-
played-
What
I
the
played it for
fuck
you.
is Twinkle Daddy?
It's like the emo stuff I've been playing you that has the math rock guitars that
With
you
the
hate.
tapping? I
Yeah,
don't like-
tiny moving parts. Where it's like emo, but they add like the
or,
or like
Cap and Jazz.
exactly like that.
Was that band
Well,
Atlas?
or like
Maps and Atlases. That's
American
their-
football.
yeah.
Like
I like
proto,
American
there's
proto
football,
math
though.
rock.
But those are like the ones after. There's like newer bands like Tiny Moving Parts or there's like another 2-piece where it's like taking from Captain Jazz and that, but also really adding like the math guitars, and it's just like math
Well,
rock emo, which
the-
I love.
Like the band that I was in, Math Grind, you know, so that's grindcore with math elements. Like I was very into the heavy side of the math spectrum, and you know, you can put math in front of any genre,
Right.
and it becomes a new genre. Or whatever.
Is there math rap? What would math rap be?
Well, I mean, rap is all about the simplicity and the repetition of the beat.
You know who could fall into that? Doom. I feel like his rhyme
I
structure
don't think
is
it would
never.
work.
Bus Driver
I don't
would
think
be-
it would
Or
work.
Bus
I
Driver.
really don't
Driver.
think it would work at all because, I mean, that would be very punk rock, but I think the idea of math rap kind of goes against everything
What
that
rap
rap
is.
is about. Yeah, it wouldn't even be rap anymore, you know.
It'd be math rap.
But it wouldn't. It would just be
Rap,
math
rap,
something.
Rap.
It would be like
Rap.
But that's That's why I like math or rap music because of its simplicity.
Yeah.
Like my favorite, going through art school and doing art history, my favorite period in painting was abstract expressionism, where it wasn't the paintings weren't trying to like it wasn't a picture of anything. It was just people throwing paint on the canvas or just painting whatever, you know. It wasn't supposed to represent anything. It's what you would call non-objective. And rap within itself is very simplistic. Just the genre itself is simplistic. And the rappers, like how JB was saying earlier, that like, you know, he freestyles everything. A lot of rappers, including myself, freestyle everything. And I feel like that's a form of what they would call action painting. Like when Jackson Pollock would dance around the canvas, drizzle paint on the canvas, I feel like we're doing that right now with rap music. Like people like Young Thug, I think, kind of started that abstract expressionist. Well, really, like Lil Wayne started that.
What about Lil B?
Well, of course, Lil B is actually the Marcel Duchamp of hip-hop.
Ooh.
Marcel Duchamp is a dude from the 1910s.
Sounds like a croissant.
Marcel Duchamp would take like a urinal, sit it on it. This is in the 1910s, bro. Like when they were still painting landscapes and shit. Like he would take a urinal, set it on its side, write some shit on it, and call it a sculpture. Or he would like hang a broom from the ceiling in the corner of a room and call it a sculpture. That's exactly what Lil B is doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what y'all said earlier about that track with Lil Wayne that Lil B did, that was Lil B kicking in the door of mainstream hip hop and being like, yeah, do my thing, bitch, what's up? Like he just kicked in the door and was just like, I'm in this bitch and y'all gonna like listen to me.
And I love that like he like didn't write shit, he didn't give a fuck about it rhyming.
He never would.
And honestly, in the end of, I think the verse just kind of ends.
just
You're
ends.
like, oh,
It's
okay.
Yeah. And like he is offbeat as fuck in
and that
certain
was
parts.
Would you say that's math rap?
Wait, hold on.
It's something similar.
But also, that was at a point in time where Lil Wayne was so fucking hot, and if anybody got on track with Wayne, they were like, I'm gonna fucking bar out so hard.
How hot was
and
it?
Lil B's the only person at that time period that would not
just
give a
did
shit.
it himself. Yeah. Well, I don't think Lil B would ever write anything, no matter what the fuck he's doing. Like he goes up there and does those speeches or whatever.
Okay,
like
when
those classes.
Okay,
like,
when I first saw him play, 2012, he did Rock the Bells, and none of those hip hop heads that Rock the Bells is like very backpacky, gave a shit, but I was like so excited, and he did a couple songs and he put on this melodic, this ambient beat, and he goes, I produce this ambient beat. I'm the first rapper to make an ambient beat. And he goes, I want to talk about racism. And he talked the rest of the set, and it was so funny. It was like performance art. It was so weird. And like nobody got it except for a few of us, like bass kids.
Like real art people. Yeah, back in the day, like 2012, he was like, I'm the first rapper to do this. He's always the first to do.
Amazing.
But I love that dude, man. I actually met him on the street. I was just walking. I was actually walking with Tracy and Peep, I think, actually.
wow.
Yeah, and we were just walking down the street, and I see Left Brain walking down the street, and I'm like, oh shit, there's Left Brain. I'm gonna go say what's up. And then behind Left Brain, there he is, the bass god. And I was like, I forgot to tell him I produced a beat for him on one of his mixtapes just because I wanted to tell him how dope he is. Like,
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of paintings, explain what we pulled.
We'll do it. First of all, one time, can I tell my
No.
Little B story?
Oh, can you just...
My Little B story.
Let him tell this story.
We've booked Little B before, of course.
More
and like
Adam
he
stories.
like knows what's up with Ham. We've booked him. Love Little B. But one time we threw a party at the Figueroa Hotel, like a pool party, and he was in town for some sports thing. So he was staying at the LA Live across the street, and he saw some kids like, "Base God, we're at the Ham party over down the street," and he showed up just to show love and say hi.
That's fucking
And he had
dope.
nice shoes on, and people were taking photos. And he's like, "Yo, like, don't get my shoes in the."
Yeah, because he wants
Because
the
the
band.
bass shoes.
Yeah.
It was really cool of him to show love. That was like really, I felt
No,
like
man,
so honored.
I would never expect him not to show love. You feel me?
Really cool.
Adam,
Okay, so
explain
here's what we're
this.
gonna do.
What the fuck?
Already from you talking about painting, I know that this is gonna be too easy for you. So I pull up some paintings. Some are like very iconic. Some might not be as obvious, and I'll give you multiple choices.
And I get to tell you which one it is.
Yeah.
Don't give me multiple choices unless
You're just
I
gonna
ask
know.
for 'em.
Okay, let's just do it.
Ooh,
You just
okay.
need multiple choices. But if
I want
you
to
end-
flex one time.
Okay, but if you end up needing the multiple choices,
Yeah, for sure.
we'll do it. So when I don't know how to explain that part. Here, okay.
Yeah, it was a very famous painting. I don't know who the fuck did it. And I never liked this style. It's idealism, is what.
I don't know what kind.
It was a form of painting where people were responding to abstract expressionism, and they wanted something like this, which is, I don't know who painted that. Well, give me a multiple choice for that one.
Cool.
I mean, I've seen that
It's
painting.
Rembrandt, Grant Wood X, Diego Rivera.
Let me go with Diego.
First of all, don't read the X. The X is the right answer, fool.
Grant Wood X.
Grant Wood X.
Who's the guy that painted it?
Yeah.
We stumped you, but you
See,
knew about the
this
painting.
is not the type of shit I'm into. You know, like,
All right, we'll get to it.
I mean, you gotta learn about it in art school, though.
All right, throw the multiple. These are all lame ass shits. Throw the
Sandro
multiple choice.
Botticelli, Rembrandt.
Oh yeah, that's definitely Rembrandt.
Okay, you got that. This one. You can't look at this part though.
Oh shit. Okay.
I feel like this might be more up your speed.
Options are Keith Haring.
Liechtenstein.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, I've never even seen that painting before.
Wow, sing it. Who would you think it would be? Here, we'll give you the options.
Yeah, give me the
Andy
Someone that's
Warhol.
not known as a painter. All right, go ahead.
Bukowski. I don't know why you put that. Daniel Johnston.
Because Bukowski paints, fool.
Bukowski paints?
Yes.
That's a Daniel Johnson painting.
Yeah.
I fuck with Daniel Johnson.
Yeah, I put it because Bukowski does do paintings, fool.
I never knew
know him.
Bukowski painted.
Same.
You have the name right there, Dad. You
Where?
gotta click on these better.
I
That's
clicked
Sir-
on the
that's
link
by
that
Sir Peter
you
Blake.
added. You need to fucking learn how to send
told you
emails
to
better.
look at the links
Adam's
before.
ruining this whole thing. I'm sorry. This was supposed to be so fun and uplifting, and Adam just sends these
All right,
dumbass links.
It's a pretty cool painting.
Oh
It
shit.
is a cool painting. It's 3 paintings.
Well, no, it's one, and it's called Garden of Earthly Delights.
I don't know. It looks like it's separated. I'm gonna say that's 3
Something
paintings.
like
Give him the choices.
Pablo Picasso,
it's not that.
Hirmius Bosch,
It's him.
Salvador Dali. Yeah, you're right.
It kind of does look like a Dolly painting
That's why I
in
said
a
Dali,
way.
'cause I thought that might throw you off.
Yeah, but I'm too swag with it. That's Jackson
Swag,
Pollock.
got it,
Ooh. Why can I not think of it? It starts with a B, and he's like the coolest guy ever. And he was Andy Warhol's protege, but
You already got it. You just hadn't said the name.
but.
I'll give you a hint. Squatter.
I don't know. Oh, Basquiat.
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't figure. I knew who it was. I just couldn't. I don't know.
You know what's really cool? Hold on,
I smoked too much weed.
Before you do the next one. In the movie about him, they show that he had called like a suicide hotline, and then he recorded it and like put it over like a beat. How tight is that?
God damn, bro.
So tight.
All right, this is the last one. This is my personal favorite.
No, go up.
Don't wait, turn
God
around. Adam, what the
damn
fuck is with you and your fucking links, dude?
I told you this one you have to scroll down.
Okay. Okay, ready?
Who's this?
This is my favorite.
That looks like something Adam painted.
Honestly, I don't think Adam has the coordination
have
to
the
even
swag for that.
do that.
No, I have seen like apes and other animals paint shit. You know, I saw that. I saw the elephant painting. I saw the elephant painting in the picture.
Guess the
before.
elephant's name. You know,
Dumbo.
no. His name is Ruby. His name is Ruby the fucking elephant. All right, you got most
by
of
the
those.
way, when I was putting that together, I asked you to please go through it and look at the links, and you acted like you were too busy.
I was busy setting up the set. Sorry, I had to put all make sure all stuff was working.
But he didn't have to do that.
How much do I win?
You win. You get corn nuts, a cup of coffee,
10 clout points.
10. Oh, definitely. Oh, you probably have a
That's
million
chump
clout.
You have so
change.
many.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't need more clout.
Do you think
points.
the clout shit's lame?
Dude,
'Cause
I
do.
fucking hate the word clout.
Yeah.
I can't stand people saying it, and I can't stand the word content because I hear both those
Content?
fucking words like.
You know what phrase I don't like either?
What?
A whole lot of gang shit. I don't like gang
Oh my
or
God.
gang. I don't like this hand thing anymore.
Especially kids
Anymore?
out here in LA, like every single one of them wants to talk like that, and it's like, dude, chill the fuck out. I can look at you and know where you came from to know that you're not gonna be saying no shit like that.
But you know what I think's cool is that all right, there was like an artsy element to like this scene of hip hop, and then last year this clout thing started happening. But now, and you're part of this, there's like this new DIY artsy part of this underground hip hop scene that includes like people like you, or even newcomers like Smart Death or Little Lotus.
Yeah, I just did a song with Smart
I saw,
Death.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool, and it's like not based in like clout anymore. It's like
It's not based in cloud.
it's DIY punk music,
No, yeah,
but rap.
well, I mean, actually, Kurt Cobain said this way back in the 90s, and I couldn't agree with him anymore now. He said punk is dead, which it was by the 90s came around, and he said, and it's only alive in hip-hop. And nowadays, man, that is more true than ever. And I come from the punk scene, the
Right.
punk metal scene. So it's no wonder I'm rapping right now. Like, I made beats when I was 17 and onward, and that was I didn't start rapping until I was like 22, just because I never thought of myself as a rapper, because when you think of a rapper, you think of a certain type of dude, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, that is not a rapper, But then I was just like, man, like, giving these beats to all these like dudes who were rapping that I just kind of came across just because I wanted someone to rap on my beats, and they were just sucked. They just sucked. All of them sucked. And I was like, dude, I could totally do this. Like, I might not look the part or whatever,
But now you
but
do.
I can fucking, sure, yeah.
But I was gonna say, but what's tight too is that I feel like you didn't, like, you could tell like this is you. And
Right.
it's like you didn't force a look.
You didn't put on a rap costume.
Yeah.
I know,
Which
and-
I feel like is really, really super noticeable and super offensive of people like just like
They come up with an idea of what
yeah.
something should look like, and they make themselves look like it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to really talk about it too much, but like this whole gimmick thing, like going on in underground hip hop, and really, I mean, the underground and mainstream are kind of getting closer to each other. You feel me?
And
There's
juggalos.
a lot less of a divide now.
it's like underground rap, juggalos. And
True,
mainstream
yeah,
rap.
that actually makes sense.
It's like it's all squishing together.
But it's like everyone that pops off has some sort of dumbass fucking gimmick. Like
juggalos.
they're either white with a fuck ton of tattoos on their face, or they're a Mexican saying he's black who acts retarded, and or they got rainbows in their hair and a rainbow grill, and they're pedophiles,
Yeah.
like whatever it is. It's always some sort of fucking gimmick, and I'm so sick of it, dude. I'm like, go out there, don't fucking play a part, be who you are, and just make some cool shit. And if you can't make cool shit, then don't fucking do it.
Romo
Don't rely on gimmicks.
said a really good thing. If you take a lot of the like clout rappers' faces and put them together, they all have the same tattoos in the same place.
Yeah.
Here,
It's cookie cutters.
Right.
like,
Yeah.
for sure,
And
for
here,
sure.
This is the newest, I feel like, standard.
Nothing against anyone that does that or anything, but the kids who I'm friends with,
Right.
they're the ones who made that into a fad. And now,
I mean, I'm seeing kids now on Instagram that want to be those rappers that want to be like a Little Peep, and their first tattoo's a face tattoo.
That's just crazy.
Nothing else on
to
that.
me,
it's
yeah.
insane, man. Like, you start from the inside and work your way out.
I agree.
Kids start
Yeah.
from the top.
That's
They
crazy.
start from their hands and their.
Our homie-
I
it's-
only have all these tattoos just to do my hands.
Our homie has a tattoo
yeah,
shop.
dude, for real. You got to work your way up there.
There was a kid that came in, whatever. He owns a tattoo shop, and there's this kid who came in, and he got this fucking huge tattoo over his eye. And I was like, damn, that's pretty gnarly. And I went on his page, and I just wanted to see what else he had. And that was literally his only tattoo. He's probably like 18, 17, just like a
Well, here's the
big,
thing.
like,
Speaking of clout again, and this is on so many levels, like, people are so fucking hungry for clout. They think it's the answer to all their problems, when it really answers absolutely nothing and gives you more problems and solutions, and they are willing to do anything for it, whether it be a tattoo on their face amongst no other tattoos anywhere, or shooting up a school and killing 17 people. That's how fame hungry these losers are. That it really breaks my fucking heart that, like, people do that. And then on the art side of it, you know, these kids don't want to be artists. They want to fucking be famous, and they want to be looked. They want to be looked at, dude, and they want to be known. And it really fucking that breaks my heart more than anything, because like this art shit has been my life since I was fucking born. Before I knew what art was, I was out there drawing, making art, you know. And even when I didn't know it, I knew what I was gonna do, what I wanted to do. And to see them make a fucking mockery of art like that by just packaging it up in plastic wrap and selling it to people is just so anti-art, you know. It's just like complete bullshit and utter bullshit. And there needs to be, and what I was saying earlier about the white kids with face tat type gimmick thing, like, I'm not knocking on my friends because they're the ones who were first doing that and started that shit. And so I'm not hating on them. I'm hating on these nobodies that get a goddamn, they get like douchebag across their forehead, you know, and they're like, everyone gonna love me now. Or Anne Frank on the cheek. That I don't know who that kid is. I've just seen him have Anne Frank on his cheek, and that's how I'm sure a lot of people are like me. Don't even know what that kid does, but they know he's got a tattoo of Anne Frank on his cheek.
the Anne Frank rapper.
But that's just what I'm so fucking pissed off about. Like nowadays, is like the mockery of art.
Well, same. I mean, I think that you know, Ham, we've been doing this forever,
right?
And we book,
and you've seen it change.
Right? And we book a lot of the rappers that are like the big clout rappers now. Before that, you know, like we did like Smoke Purp's first show, stuff like that. And then 2016, everything was blowing up so fast, and then I almost felt the pressure, like, oh, we need to chase clout to book these guys. And then I was almost like, fuck this. And we didn't throw many shows towards the middle of 2016.
I didn't want to be a part of the problem.
I just lost passion of it. And I was like, I just like...
The vibe change
I'm
of
like,
the shows.
because I've always been an underground head. And this has always been about underground culture for me. And I was like, But then I started realizing, wait, there's Slug Christ's, and there's Little Peeps, and there's Dylan Ross's, and there's like Omen 13. There's all these other dudes. I'm like, this is what I want to book. Or Ghostman, Black Cray, Tracy. And I like now, and like Wicca Phase. And I like that there's this whole new like art rap where it's like not even, because it was dope when everything was like first in 2015, all this underground rap was coming up, and it was like based off Atlanta trap music. But now the foundation isn't even trap anymore. The foundation's literally punk, metal, emo. I love it.
Well, in the percussions, it's very trappy.
Still, right.
It's all digital machine drums and stuff. But yeah, then it's Blink 182 over.
Yeah, because I feel like we see kids like you or Ghostman who like band kids who realize, oh, I could express myself by myself.
I really want to talk about my album before we end things. Yeah, but like if you y'all said y'all heard the album.
Loved it. I think it's the best stuff you've done.
Like you can. I agree with you.
Right. It's why I asked you on, 'cause I was like, this is dope.
That music is definitely almost a culmination of every like form of music I've made in the past, because it's definitely rooted in hip hop, like with that first song, but it's not hip hop, you know. It's whatever is going on right now. We'll come up with a name for it in 10 years, you know, when we're looking back on it. But like in every song from that album, I've been making those songs. Some of those songs are 3 years old, and for about 2 years now, I've just been making music. And every time I'd make like a bomb ass fucking song, I just put it in the folder for the album. And so the album's like the like 11 of the best fucking songs I've made from like the last 3 years.
Oh,
so,
wow.
And thank you for saying that, by the way, because I agree. I think it's my best work I have ever done. And like kids are saying, you know, like when I had Hanja and Heron like really booming, you know, they'll tell me that I fell off and shit, and it's like, man, like I feel like I'm making the best shit by far that I've ever made. The only reason you don't think it's good is because like not as many people are looking at it, which is so fucking, that breaks my heart too. Like people don't even look at the art, they look at how many people are looking at the art.
Well, I feel like this new album too, it feels more art induced than drug induced.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I felt like I listened to it, I was like, oh, he cleaned up. It's like what I really thought.
I mean, well, me and Nadarb last year, what was last year?
That EP was great too.
Thank you. that was the only release I did in 2017. I'll usually put out like 3 or 4 tapes at least a year, you know. But last year I was going just through a lot of internal shit, like, and it had to do with drug use and shit. And there's this song on there called "Trying to Get Clean," and I was withdrawing while I made it, and you can hear it. You can hear me sniffling. You can, you know, just, I don't know, when I withdraw off heroin or opiates or whatever, I call it face juice, where your eyes are tearing up all the time, your body hurts, you're like, nose is running, and you can hear all that shit like in that song. And the song is called "Trying to Get Clean," you know, so I'm not saying that I got clean or anything. I've definitely slowed down and stuff, like, compared to, I don't know, 2 years ago, but you're right, that album is, there are a few tracks here or there where I was just like off whatever.
Right.
Fucking, you know.
I mean, I've definitely seen your progression, like, because, you know, we've been booking you for years.
Right.
I remember 2 years ago, you like threw up on stage because you were so off the shits.
Yeah, and you know that venue, the Union now,
Yeah.
they know about me. Like,
They
when
don't
I
want you
come
there.
walking up, like, I remember walking through the side door and the bouncer was like, "Oh, I know about this guy. This guy's crazy." Because I don't know, I'd like climb on shit and throw up on
But I always
stage.
see you, like, because even when we did the New York show, you got fucked up that night, but you were still, I was like, oh, he seems way more clear.
Well, I mean, dude, I've been... Oh, at the New York show.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was
You
fucked
were-
up that
But
night.
you still seem more
but
clear than you did 2 years ago.
And that's the thing, too. It's muscle memory at this point. Like I said, I'm 26 now. I've been doing it since I was 14, you know, not rapping, but just being the front man in front of a audience. So
Right.
it's like, it's just in my blood, and I don't know if I could ever start. Like, I'm going to be a 40-year-old dude with, like, an acoustic guitar, one of those guys.
Right.
Like, you know.
Oh, wait, but the last time you just did in December was the best performance I've seen you do.
Bro, that show was fucking insane, dude. Like, I could not breathe inside that bitch. It was so hot, so many people.
I had to leave and have him drive me to my apartment to get my asthma inhaler because, honestly, right? I was like, we got to leave right now.
And dude, yeah, the stage was just as crazy as
Yeah.
like the crowd in front of me. So
the
it's
stage
just
was like a little platform.
Right.
Wasn't
It
much
was
of a
like I'm
stage.
surrounded by just insanity, and Naja, my girlfriend, was like trying to like keep people from killing me while
But
I
you
was
did
up
great. Your
there.
energy was so good.
Yeah,
People were
thank
more
you,
excited
man.
about you, and I don't want to like downplay anybody. They were more excited about you than Goth Money at that show. And that's crazy because
well,
Goth Money to
because
me
when
are
you-
legends.
God Money is one of the biggest influences to
Legends.
me. Like I just hung out with Marcy like when I first touched down. I moved here like like a week ago. So I hung out with Lucaline, Marcy, and those are really the only two I've seen so far. Oh yeah, and I saw Kane yesterday when I was at Left Brain
I
Studio.
like him a lot.
Yeah, I mean all of those
Yeah.
dudes are fucking awesome, man, and I don't think they realize how influential
iconic
they are.
Wicked Phase played me the song I'd never heard, and it's Black Cray and Blade. Do you know what song I'm talking about?
What is it called?
I don't know. It's Black Cray and Blade.
I know what song.
And
you're
Black
talking
Cray, I gotta play for you. He like does the Ian Curtis thing. It's like amazing. He sounds like Ian Curtis. He does like a Joy Division kind of flow, and it's like I'm like that's Cray.
That's fucking crazy. He
It's
probably
really
didn't
dope.
even know he was
He doesn't-
doing
yeah,
a
he doesn't
Joy
even
Division
know.
flow.
That's what's so fucking cool about Cray, is that he doesn't know that he's like doing that. He's just doing what he does.
One of my favorite songs to come out in it's probably about a year old now, or I don't know, but that I'm in the cut like a sniper. I'm in the cut like a sniper. And remember me talking about the minimalization of art, like that abstract art where you're throwing paint on the canvas.
Right.
So all art kind of moves like this, and pretty much it's probably not only art, it's probably everything. It always starts off with like caveman paintings, people trying to be as good as they can, but it sucks, right? Hip hop started the same way, like little loops,
Hip to the hip, to
little
hip to the
loops,
hop,
and people
yeah.
just doing shit over it. And then it starts getting better and better until you get to the peak of it.
Then you start
which is
devolving?
Renaissance art, which is picture perfect shit. And that was probably late 90s, early 2000s in rap.
Like lyrical.
With Jay-Z and Nas and Eminem. And then from there, you start devolving, which would be Picasso, Van Gogh, and you start moving away from that. You start getting more stylistic. And I would also say in rap, that would be like someone like Flocka or the other Atlanta swag rap shit from the mid to 2000s.
Right.
Like, that type shit. and now we're here now, and I think we're in. And then there's people that subvert everything and lie completely out of it, like Bass God or Marcel Duchamp. They're completely removed from the flow of it, but that's how I always feel like it flows. There's always an ebb and flow like that with any art form. You can see it across the board with really anything, like fashion. It starts off with us wearing loincloths, then it gets up to like, I don't know, those bitches back in the 1800s wearing like 20,000 layers.
Right.
And here we are today, and it's going down, you can just see it across the board on everything. And I don't know if you know this dude named Picture Plane.
Of course I know Picture Plane.
He was telling me, he's like, yo, Slug, you should really like write a book about that. And I was
amazing.
like, I might, bitch.
It's a great concept.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Me and Picture Plane, we come from the same hip hop scene because I was into like late 90s, early 2000s, like weirdo hip hop. And me and Picture Plane, there's a guy named Soul who was in a crew called Anacon. It was like Soul and Dose One.
He's actually told me about that.
Oh, we were both on the same message board, the Soul1.org.
That's fucking hilarious.
Message board. And he was like, post his music, and it was way before
Have you heard this group called Cannibal Ox?
Of course.
Woo!
That's 2001, that album. And that album is like...
That album changed how I perceived hip hop. Like,
and that's LP's best production because LP produced it, who's now Run the Jewels or whatever.
He did.
Yeah, because
he produced that. I thought one of them produced.
LP produced it because they were all on Def Jux, which was his label.
Was he on like a lot of acid or something? Because it's so far removed from like every other thing.
Well, he was known for being like making the artsy beats.
Back when that record came out in 2001, I remember reading a review, probably in the Source, and they called it Mobb Deep on the Moon.
That's fucking amazing. But that Cannibal Ox shit, man. I don't know if you were ever into that metal shit, but there was this Christian metal band from Georgia, from Atlanta, called Norma Jean.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
And then the singer from the first album went and did the Chariot.
I know the Chariot too. So I play both of those bands at Emo Night, which you should start coming to now that you're.
No, I will be Emo Night now that I live here.
Right.
But my friend, who was in this band when I was in bands, we were just in the Atlanta scene. Like Josh Scoggin came to one of our shows, and he was scouting out people for the Chariot. The Chariot musicians, everyone besides him, it's like a revolving door kind of.
Right.
And my homie Brian, who goes by Slow Rider now musically, he got picked up. He and Josh Scoggin, who was like both our idol, he was like, hey, you want to be in my band? You're fucking tight. And that is the kid who showed me Cannibal Ox.
Well, that's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Cannibal Ox is so dope because they had because when that came out, I was listening to all the nerdy hip hop, and then Cannibal Ox kind of made it like nerdy and weird and experimental, but also street.
Dude, yeah, it was like, yeah, bitch, I can be off a quarter of mushrooms and still rob you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that shit was hard,
Mobb
man.
Deep on the Moon.
That's a great description.
Yeah.
So then, is there anything else you want to push other than
any final thoughts?
Just go listen to my new album and buy it on iTunes or listen to it on Spotify because I need that LA money to afford my rent now. It's a bit more expensive than Atlanta, Georgia. But yeah, it's called Judas's Betrayal and the 3-Day Burial. Judas's Betrayal and the 3-Day Burial of a Salted Slug.
Hell yeah. Well,
cool.
we always appreciate you coming through, man.
Thank you for
so
inviting
much.
me.
Yeah, of course.
And now that Slug's in LA, for all you LA heads who go to ham parties,
I'ma be there.
He's gonna be popping up.
I'ma be there.
Thanks for listening and watching.
Yeah.
DJ Stereotype, take us away. Ham Radio.
See you next time.
Yeah.
Peace, bitches.
Wow.